Are we live on Instagram?
Yep.
We live, baby. All right, welcome back to the show, everybody. I apologize. We are having some technical difficulties, but it is Throw It Out There Thursday. You guys can run the show. You can call in, but we're going to talk about a couple things with Mitchie, and we also have Matt. So let's go over to the board. That was good.
Nice smile, Matt. I like that. What's up, guys? How we doing? We are still live, Josh?
We are
100%?
live.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Okay, good. Not live on Facebook.
Hold on. We are not live on Facebook. We're having technical difficulties, so it looks like everyone that has Facebook just needs to download Instagram right now and get on. So that's what we got. Sorry, guys. We will have it fixed by next week. But bring it over to Mitchie, and we'll come over to the board.
So yeah, throw it out there Thursday. You guys can jump in. We're gonna throw a couple little fillers in, if you will, for just things to talk about. Hopefully Josh can be a little more outgoing and throw out some questions for us. That'd be great. Can you say anything, Josh?
Hello.
Okay, so I guess we'll start off. Common questions that we get asked all the time. Crossover rub, what a crossover does, spring divider wear, body wear, stuff like that. So let's jump into things to look for. So the number one thing, crossover rub. Even on factory shocks, you guys with dual rate setups that come from factory, whether it's Can-Am, Polaris, Honda, any make or manufacturer that has an actual crossover with a true dual rate spring setup is gonna have crossover rub. Now, crossover rub, depending on how bad it can be, where it's at exactly on the crossover, there's things that you guys can do to help prevent that. Kind of something that we're going to go over a little bit with that side of it. Biggest thing to help that, clocking of the spring. So I know we say 180 degrees apart from each other from end to end on the spring itself. That's kind of just a general rule, a general tip to throw at you guys for setting it up initially. Now you can clock them 90 degrees from each other, you can clock them 45 degrees from each other. Length of spring, stuff like that comes into play on the clocking side of it. You got to kind of find the perfect situation, perfect clocking orientation, if you will, on where to set it actually on the divider to get that divider to sit as centered as possible on the shock body. So it might take a couple times by jacking up the car, rotating the springs a little bit. Typically what we found, 180 degrees, like I said, is kind of the sweet spot for that. Now, you're going to have rub. It's 100% normal. You are never going to eliminate it by any means. So don't freak out when you guys get the spring kit on and you're driving it and you look at it and you say, man, it's rubbing a little bit. 100% normal, guys. Kind of the same thing with divider wear. So if that free floating divider is kicked one way or the other on the shock body, that's immediately going to start rubbing on the shock itself, which is where you're going to see a lot of that stuff come into play as far as wear and stuff like that. So something that you can do to help prevent the divider wear. When you guys go ride these things, drive them, whether it's in the sand, the dunes, or the woods, the dirt, desert, mud. Mud is a big one. Make sure that you guys, when you wash your units, to really get up inside of the shock body itself and the divider itself.
Always wash your unit, gentlemen.
Get up in there.
Thanks everybody. Just make sure to spray out that divider where it actually contacts the body. When dirt and debris and stuff like that gets stuck inside the divider is where it starts to break down the divider. It turns almost into sandpaper. So if it's ever touching the shock body or anything like that, it's gonna start to wear it out. So,
Mitch,
what do we got?
What is the purpose of a crossover ring? Can you explain the function of it, please? How does it work with a dual rate spring kit from Robbie Frazier?
Robbie Frazier. Purpose of a crossover ring is to make it a true dual rate setup. So without going crazy into detail on it, it's basically engaging the lower spring only. So what's going on, Josh? You good? Okay. When you have two springs, basically the point of two springs is to work together. Now, you're going to be into what we call a combined rate of both springs. What the crossover is doing is actually separating the two spring rates. So it is an adjustable piece as well. You can actually raise it or lower it. We'll get into that. I think that was part of the question too, right? All you're doing with the crossover is dividing the two spring rates. So big G outs, big jumps, landings, anything that you really want that extra bottom out control is basically when the crossover comes in, divider contacts it, it then sends it to the lower spring itself, which is typically going to be a heavier spring itself to help with those situations. Now, something that happens when you start to lower the crossover for an adjustment side of it, you're going to basically bring in that lower spring sooner because the divider is going to travel a lot less distance to actually contact the divider versus raising it, it's going to travel more. So you're using more of the suspension travel itself before it actually contacts the crossover.
Yep. Advice needed, XP4 1000, replace rear sway bar first or add a front sway bar first. Since it has a rear, replace rear second. I would do the rear before I do the front on XP1000.
XP1000, yeah.
Yeah, I would do the rear before I do
the front. The rear bar on those cars is actually what is controlling all of the body roll itself. So if you're experiencing any of that, having the adjustability with a thicker, heavier bar is going to cure all that for you too.
Now on the X3, that would be opposite. I would recommend the front bar over the rear bar.
Correct.
Do we have touch-up paint for our springs or a recommendation of touch-up paint for the springs? We don't have touch-up paint and I don't have a recommendation.
I believe it's Bengal Silver is the powder coat of it. So if you can find anything close to that, that'll work.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything else?
That's it so far. You do need to dress like a scientist when giving explanations. So you need a white trench coat.
I need a trench coat.
That's what they're saying.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll work.
And just guys, I want to reiterate, always make sure your unit is super clean. You never want a dirty unit. So make sure you get in there thoroughly and clean it out.
What's up, Matt?
Grease Monkey 3406 wants to know where the ECU is installed for IQS on an XP Turbo.
XP Turbo, it's going to be right in the center console where your shifter is. Actually, like right behind the shifter towards the cup holders. It's going to mount basically right in between the cup holder and the shifter on the inside of it. We have instructions for all that stuff too. When you purchase the IQS kit for that car, instead of the Can-Am version that typically comes with the IQS kit, it's a different packet that comes with that specific vehicle for what you guys are ordering IQS kit for. And it shows you guys where to mount all that stuff as well as running the wires and where everything is mounted to. So, Steve?
I'm just trying to read all these comments. Can you use anything to help repel dirt from sticking to your shock body or parts? Like silicone, will it hurt the shaft seals?
Not if I don't think if you're spraying it on the shock body. SC1 is a pretty good, or like, I mean, even WD-40.
WD-40 would work.
You could try it. My biggest thing that I've seen is just making sure when you guys clean this stuff, just get up into the divider area and make sure you spray it all out. That goes a long way. Once that divider actually starts to get deteriorated or break down is when it becomes like that sandpaper material. And if it's kicked one way or the other on the shock body is why you guys are probably seeing most of that wear on the shock itself. So just little things like that, just keeping everything clean goes a long way. There's other options too, like upgraded dividers that are actually a thicker material, helps keep them centered on the shock body itself. That's obviously an additional cost to like a spring kit, but factory ones work just fine as long as you try and keep them as clean as possible.
Ryan K. Mitchell wants to know, are you still using base retainers for limiting straps on a Razor?
Base retainers.
A spring retainer?
I think he's talking about the adapter that we use. No, if you're talking about the adapter that keeps the, what would you call it? The part of the limit strap that kicks out of the retainer.
Yeah, no.
We're not. We actually redesigned that portion of the strap to help with the issues on that. We were running into the strap actually touching the spring, so we tried to create something that helps keep it centered and push it away, but we fixed all that now, so we don't use those anymore.
Yeah. So. Cool.
Okay, so talked a little bit about the crossover rub. 100% normal, guys. Divider wear, we went over that as well. Divider wear and body wear are kind of both the same. They're going to happen, you know, together in junction with each other. So making sure the divider's clean. When you guys clean them, when you pressure wash them, do all that stuff, just get in there. Kind of helps that. Clean your unit.
Clean your unit, or it'll fall off.
It'll fall off. Things to prevent clocking of the springs, and then how clean is your shock. That kind of all ties together. So next thing is adjustments. Another big question that we get, guys, is when you get your shocks back from us, the initial setup, kind of like when we were talking about the ride heights, adjustments go into that as well. So when you set your ride heights, everything's good. You got your crossover set, You're at the target measurement that we give you guys. Adjustments are the next biggest thing. So on certain models, we send them to you guys completely soft. We do that for a couple of reasons. Number one, we want you guys to feel how soft and plush the car actually is, and then start adjusting to your specific driving style. So just because they're sent to you soft doesn't mean that that's where they have to stay. We get that a lot too. Like, hey, my adjusters are here, I don't want to touch them, I feel like it's going to mess something up. That's not the case at all. Those are your guys' best friend to tune it to exactly how you drive it. So like a walker car, normal walker with just a high-speed compression adjuster on it, 22 clicks, I believe, 18 to 22 clicks of adjustment on that shock there. You guys have tons of adjustability to set it up for dune riding, desert, wood riding, whatever you guys are doing. So rule of thumb for us is if you are bottoming out the car 7 to 8 times on an hour-long ride, you need to add some compression to the shock. So 2 clicks at a time. Front versus rear. Now if the rear's bottoming out, 2 clicks at a time on the rear, front's bottoming out, 2 clicks at a time on the front. Keep doing that process till you creep up on that perfect adjustment for how aggressive you are, how hard you're driving it, basically your driving style. So we'll get a little bit more into that. You guys look like you have questions.
No. Oh, well, I mean, just what, so someone's talking about if they want to float over the whoops better, should they move the crossover rings up or down? You'd want to move them up to be able to float, but then you're more prone to bottom out too on that side of things if you have it too high up. But that would help significantly through the whoops if you raised the crossover half inch, right? I mean, quarter to half inch.
Yeah, crossovers are going to be kind of like the last resort adjustment. Typically, like most cases, bottom out control. If you're having any issues there, you'd want to actually lower it. But if you're not bottoming out and you're not having any issues there, you can definitely raise it up. It's going to promote a lot of different things. You're going to get more plusher for longer because you're in the combined rate for a longer period of time. And you're also, I mean, you're going to use more of both springs at the same time. So if I was doing it, I would attack the adjusters first, try and fine tune it to your adjustment. If that doesn't fully fix it, then you can start playing with the crossover and kind of dial it in from there. Matt.
Danny asked, my Razor came with iVox stage 3 springs and tune, but the rear end keeps bucking even though there's weight in the back. Is this because of the internals? My passengers are fairly weighted.
What kind of car? Sorry.
He just said Razor.
Razor. So if it's a walker or turbo, none of those cars have a rebound adjuster on them, so that'd be all internal work. Could be a combination of compression or rebound. It's hard to tell without seeing what it's doing.
Yeah.
Crossover too. I mean, if your crossover is buried into your divider, if your initial setup as far as ride height and crossover settings are concerned, if that's not, where it needs to be, you could have some issues there too. But it's hard to say that that's exactly what your problem is without seeing it.
XP1000 walker is what he said. So yeah, that's going to be his issue.
Check your crossover. Make sure when you're in the car at your ride heights that it's not actually physically touching the divider. You actually have a good solid gap between those two. If it is like that, it's going to be internally related. If the crossover is lower than that, try and adjust it up and run it again and see what happens. Anybody want to go live, Josh?
Not yet.
You're being real quiet over there.
Mitch, what are the best shock adjustment settings for the Speed UTV?
Oh boy.
I was going to ask that one.
Next. Next. We're still waiting on him.
Yep. To answer Ryan Bartlett's question, he said, what's the best oil for portals? Redline is shock proof or Z-Max gear oil?
Ooh, probably Z-Max gear oil if I were to take a guess.
No, that was my answer.
Oh, okay,
sorry.
perfect. Yep. There you go.
Answer.
We have a request.
A request, cool. We'll get back to that.
With Kofa_2.
COVID? Oh, Kofa. They said COVID_2. No, that's not good.
Huh? Are you working on it, Josh?
It's connecting. We're waiting for him.
Oh, I hear him.
There he is.
Hey guys.
How you doing?
How's it going, man?
Good. My name's Evan. I'm in North Carolina.
Evan, what's up, dude?
Razor XP4 1000.
Okay.
So, question, totally off topics, but since it's thrown out there Thursday, I'm getting it there.
Let's have it.
Have you guys, or Justin, or anybody there, had any experience with wrist restraints? And to clarify, I'm not talking about the ones in the bedroom. I'm talking about the ones
He's not talking about dirty units.
your hands inside in case of a roll.
I personally have not used them. I think Justin might have tried them once or twice. If I, and this is just a guess, man, I'm no expert on that by any means, but my thought process on it is that you're attached to the steering wheel. I don't like that. I like to be able to like move around and have my hand, if I gotta like adjust something or, you know, help something out or do something with my hand, I don't like to be restrained to it. So that's just my personal opinion. I mean, we can ask.
I was really looking for some real life experience on.
Yeah.
Is it too restrictive, or is there a good place for this?
Yeah, I can't answer that because I personally have not used them.
Okay.
So.
Fair enough.
I'll ask Justin though. Might be able to get back to you. He might have a better answer on it if he's used them or not.
Sounds great.
Cool, man. Yeah, no worries, dude. Send us a DM with your t-shirt size. We'll get one sent out to you.
Will do. Thanks.
Right on, man.
Bye.
Matt has some experience with wrist restraints, but it is the ones in the bedroom. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Got a couple requests asking on KRX front limit straps.
Yes. I think I heard something last week that we're in the drawing process of them right now. So as we always say, guys, there's so many products and so many new stuff that's coming out that a lot of this stuff it's in line, but it gets pushed back for other things that are more important. So it's still on the list. It is still being made. It's actually drawn right now. So getting the fitment of it to clock correctly on the upper part of the shock where there's literally no space to run anything up there, that's the hardest part right now. But once it's drawn, we'll have a prototype. We'll be able to test it. Once we test it, then we'll be able to, you know, release it and give it out to you guys. So hopefully that helps that.
Glitch right there.
Anything else, Matt?
When are limit straps needed?
When?
Yeah.
If you're having an extension clunk, front end tap out noise, it'll cure all of that. So, I mean, stock cars have it. Stock Can-Ams are pretty bad. Stock XPs with walkers on it are pretty bad. Basically eliminates all that. Now, it is 100% normal. It's part of the shock itself, but like me, I hate having noises or anything feeling like it's falling off the front of the car. Spring kits are gonna make it a little bit worse. Internal work is gonna make it a little bit worse, just to make the shock function the way that it's supposed to. But limit straps will cure all that. It makes it silent. It still has the shock able to do what it's supposed to do without sacrificing a rebound side of it or anything like that. Makes it silent. You don't hear about it. You're not damaging anything.
Mitch, are we ever going to do shocks for a quad?
Negative.
UTVs, man.
Yes, sir.
Somebody wanted to let us know that the high clearance radius rods for a Turbo S should be the priority, and I can guarantee you they are definitely high on the priority list. We are working on them day and night.
Turbo S, KRX, X3, the list goes on and on. But yes, all that stuff it's there, man. We need help. We need more people.
Yes, and if you're looking to apply, go to jobs@shocktherapist.com. What else we got, Mitchie?
What else we got?
Something to talk about would be a lot of people ask about nitrogen. Okay, we run 200 pounds of nitrogen on all four corners of your shocks. It is something that would be very inexpensive if you and 2, 3, 4 of your buddies went in, got a regulator, got some nitrogen, and were able to check your shocks. We recommend like every 1,000 to 1,500 miles being able to check your shocks, especially if you have a Schrader valve, but getting Schraders in the caps and being able to check it is definitely a good thing. But like I said, it's inexpensive if 4 of you and your buddies want to get in on it and go out and buy one.
Sean Mills wants to know, just got your spring kit on, haven't had time to test them yet, but want to know is it normal to have the spring divider hang down past the shock body at full droop?
What kind of car?
X3 SRC.
XRC.
No, I would double check your measurements on that as far as like the starting points. It's not normal to have that, so double check everything that you got set up on there. You can send us pictures of it too. We can look at it and kind of see what's going on. But no, you don't ever want that divider to be hanging below the shock body. It'll actually get hung up on it. It'll cause body wear like we were talking about, stuff like that. So double check that stuff. If you want, send pictures in. We'll check it out and we'll reach out to you.
Mitch, what happened? What?
Oh, Stan, what do you got?
Oh, you speak up, girl.
Wow.
What happens if you run the crossover ring too high and it goes to coil bind? Can it damage the shock?
It will not damage the shock per se. If a spring goes to coil bind, you're actually compressing it so much that there's a lot of load on the spring. I've seen them break before. Running a crossover too high is completely defeating the purpose of a dual rate spring setup. You want that crossover to be in contact with the divider, so you're separating them. You can run it high enough to where you have a lot of plushness out of the car. There's a little bit of math involved to figure out where the coil bind is actually at on a certain rate spring, a certain height spring. Doing that is kind of tricky, but that's why we give you guys these certain measurements to kind of stick to and adjust from there. Now, even though we say 2 inches, you're safe with running it, you know, a 1/2 inch to 1 inch up or down on both of those situations to keep you in the true dual rate setup side of things and not sacrifice anything else. So. All right, I'm gonna jump back in.
Yeah, go ahead, jump back in. These are some long questions.
So since we're going over we just talked about crossover, when to adjust your crossover. Kind of touched on it a little bit, but let's say, like I was talking about, you have your ride height set, everything's dialed in, you are now to the crossover setting, you set it up to that 2 inches in the rear, 1.5 inches in the front, you go drive it, you're having a little bit of issues with maybe some bottom out or a little bit of bucking or anything like that. Start with your adjusters first. If that does not cure it, then we start jumping into adjusting the crossover rings. Now, it is what we call a fine tune aspect of the shock. It is still an adjustment. It still suits your guys' needs. If you're bottoming out, lower the crossover about a 1/2 inch. That'll help bring in that lower spring a lot sooner. That'll help with full G out bump stage resistance, if you will. If you're bucking, that means your crossover could potentially be too close to the divider. We'd want you to raise it up about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch, and then that'll help, you know, cure that side of it too. So a little bit of a quick rundown on that, but I'm tired of talking. Somebody else wants to talk.
Any questions, Matt? Because these are long questions. Ryan H. Bartlett said, is every Tech Tuesday going to be Portal Talk from now on? I thought so, but last Tuesday wasn't. No, it's not going to be Portal Talk from now on. That would just be boring. All right, we're going to talk about lots of things like nitrogen, crossover rub, divider wear, keeping your unit nice and clean. You know what I mean? I always keep my unit clean, thank you.
Go ahead, Matt.
What do you got, Matt?
Just a random question. Do we have any new install videos or any videos coming out?
Yes, we do actually. We have the front link kit coming out for the XX, so we're going to have links for that. We are going to have a video of installing RC2s onto a Pro. If you guys have the Walker version of the XP, we'll show you guys how to install that. I think we're going to really dive into, since we're on the subject already, of where we measure on that car exactly, front and rear, so you guys know exactly where we're lining up to, exactly where the measurement points are. We'll try real hard to get a close-up of the crossover location, where that's measured from, and just show you guys how to set that up. So XP Pro RC2s, and then the XX front links. So
We have XP 900.
Yep, XP 900 spring kit. Our whole goal, guys, is to basically get all of the cars that we don't have instructions for, on those, so you guys know how to install it. So
Mitch,
constantly working on that.
do you know when the next race is? Short enough?
Short
I don't know what
enough.
the second part is there, J-Hup, but the next race would be the Silver State 300?
Next Saturday.
Next
Saturday.
Saturday.
There you
be
go.
there or be square.
We got someone trying to come live.
It will be the first race for the new car.
First race for the new car. It's going to debut.
We have Cowico coming
Cowico.
Cowico.
Kawazy.
Patrick?
Any moment.
Any moment.
Bueller. Bueller. We going live. Anything from
Just waiting for Cowico.
Cowico. Come on.
About to kick him out.
Oh, short question. He meant short enough.
There you go.
There you go. Good
right.
job, J-Hub. Yes, next week, next Saturday, Silver State 300. It's going to be a good time.
All right, he's not coming through.
Well, looks like he's not.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
We also have Mike Peterson.
Mike Peterson.
See if he's there.
True or false? XP Turbo will never ride as nice plushness as a four-seater, no matter what you do to the shocks because of the short wheelbase. Is that
Steve?
true? Yeah, I mean, you can't compare the two. You're comparing two different cars.
Sure.
So no, you can't. What's the question? True or false? I can't say it would never ride as nice. But if you're, what type of terrain are you talking about? You're talking about going through the whoops. You're going to be a completely different. If you're talking about going through the desert, it all depends. But you're comparing two different types of cars, two different lengths. So yeah, I can't even say true or false to that.
There's a lot of variables.
I'd say there's way too many variables to even answer that.
J-Hubs 24 limit straps for Turbo S available? Yes. Yes. Yes.
Well, they're available, but we
They're
are
available.
out of clamps
We're out of
right
clamps
now.
on them. We have them for the live valve and the velocities. So hopefully that answers that. But
Nobody wants to go
Mike's
live?
not coming
Then
through.
you know what?
Connection.
I say we send it.
Well, let's send it.
send it.
Well, first of all, I want to wish a very happy birthday to Jason DiLorenzo. He just walked by. He's looking really good. Come over here, Jason. Let's say happy birthday to you real quick. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
How old are you turning?
24.
24, that's... yeah.
34.
34? Right on, man. Well, I was going to get everyone to sing you happy birthday, but I'm just going to sing it to you myself.
You already have a microphone.
Oh, I do, huh? You can keep it. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Jason. Happy birthday to you. All right, guys, if you are looking to buy anything off the website, please visit www.shocktherapist.com or call into the shop at 623-217-4959.